how did you come up with the name Aliss Ink?
Well,
we're not gonna spoil it for anyone, but it's not your birth name.
what, isn't it? No, Alice actually comes from a book series that I absolutely love, the Discworld series by Terry Pratchett.
Oh.
There is a witch there that is not exactly in the stories, but she's talked about. She's long gone by the time the actual events are taking place. But she's called Alice the Black. And she's a good witch first, who becomes really good in her magic crafts. And then she goes mental and turns bad, basically. I'm not saying this is in any way reflecting on how my development is going to be, but I like the name, and I absolutely love the stories in those books. So recommended read for anyone who's listening. But yeah, that's the Alice Park, and the Ink Park is maybe quite self-explanatory. I don't know.
Because I remember you came to Finland and we talked about the name and you said it means all is ink.
Yeah, exactly. That was also a thing, because the spelling in Alice is it's not exactly Alice in Wonderland spelling.
Yeah.
But it is the same spelling as the character in the books. And I think the thought, in my head, the thought is all is black was the witch's actual name, and all is ink, yes. So that's my take on it. So I stole the idea, or call it a homage, maybe. That's the correct way of doing it, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's a deep story. I don't think
that's
many people...
That's like the coolest story for a wrestling name ever. There is no better. Like, oh yeah, it's my last name, Shemeikka. Yeah.
Well, it could very well have been something else, though. The Aliss Ink name did not come to be until the day before my debut match in Stockholm.
Damn.
So it was like a last minute idea, basically. But it had been brewing for a bit. It was kind of like something that I threw out at a couple months before, like more as a joke than anything else, but kind of stuck in the head. So when it was time and still didn't have a name that felt right, like, well, maybe this then, and then they just, let's go with this. And I was like, okay, all right.
What was your debut match, actually?
It was for See It Live, which is a family-friendly promotion in Stockholm. It's still a Stockholm wrestling production, let's say, but it's a different audience, a little bit different brand. And I was called Kat Katana. Is that show.
Oh, this one I remember. Yeah.
So I went up. The first match I did was a tag match there, I tagged with Ender Kara and against Martin Beck and Mark Soman. Mm. That was really fun. Then my first match for the Stockholm wrestling shows was the first like bigger crowd. That was also a tag match, and I tagged with Stanislav against the PT and his tag partner at the time.
What was that? You told me a story about the Stanislav case. He cut a promo on you, right?
Yes.
Or like introduced you as...
Yes, he did my introduction to as Alice. That was my first introduction as Aliss Ink. So yeah, and he basically introduced me as because he's just lost his tag partner Yuri, which is a really sad story. Of course, he got injured by a heel, and you know how it goes. So he needed to find another tag partner, and then he went into this party, and he's basically called out, who here can drink more than me? And apparently that was Aliss Ink. That was me. So I drank more than Stanislav, and I got his tag partner.
I mean, that could be a shoot, though.
Initial, let's call it that.
These are some secret stories I know nothing about. But of course, half of your name is Ink, and you got quite the coverage with your tattoos. When did you start getting ink, and how long have you been almost, or how much is covered? Can I ask that? Is it just
start there? Yes.
Yeah.
It's quite a lot. I would say about 80% now, maybe. My entire back, both of my legs are almost completely covered. Both my arms. I basically have the belly and the chest area is the only thing that's not tattooed at this point, and my hands still bare, face.
Are you gonna cover the hands though? Are you planning on it?
I've considered it, not at this point though. For work reasons, might be smart not to. I don't know. I kind of like the Japanese cut as well, where you can hide the tattoos if you want to.
Yeah.
So that you actually have a choice what you want to show yourself or not.
I get it.
Repus Edut says 85%. Okay, I can't say
Okay.
85.
I'll take his word for it then.
Seems that he or she or they have seen more than we have.
But I must say, the tattoos add to, like, I think it's one of the reasons why you are so interesting to look at, and why you stay in the mind of the audience. Like, it's quite like a freak show to see a
tattooed lady, yes.
Yeah, and like it's almost the whole body. And of course, when you even amplify it with the name, that okay, this is the thing, it becomes quite a character. And of course, with your style that differs from the others, I think because you started, the others have been wrestling. Aya and Peri are the next in line. They are 4 years or 3.
I can't say.
Something along those lines. I'm not entirely sure.
I think 6 started in the same year that I did, probably. And then, I'm not sure. They just pop up.
But yeah, it really adds to the character, or actually it's quite like the important part.
Yeah, I mean, it makes me stand out a bit, and I'm well aware of that. But I kind of also like it could easily be like a hint to the carny side of wrestling, actually. So, I mean, I kind of like the idea of the freak show-ish, because that's part of it. It's you have your characters and you have your persona when you're in the show, and that's such an important part of what wrestling is. It what makes it interesting to watch. It's the big aspect of the entertainment. So which I actually love now with the Swedish wrestling scene for women as well, because we all have different characters.
Yeah, that's very important. And I feel like the tattoos are like almost like an outfit for you, and so I love that your simplicity in the just with the black and not like adding too much to it, because I think that's almost enough. Maybe you could maybe I'd like shine to it, but I love that it's very
Yes, I actually had one of my coaches say to me that you don't need to worry so much about the gear, because the gimmick is your skin, basically. I get that. Makes sense.
Yeah, but I love that you're still not just like, okay, I'll just wear a black top and shorts. Like there's still more than that. But I love the.
But that's also to add the extra layer, basically, and like because I'm so influenced in my mind and how I think about both martial arts and wrestling, from like old fighting games and old school martial arts movies, and even if it's not exactly the same type of character, maybe, but it's still like I carry that with me in a way. In what I do when I am on stage. So
do you, by the way, have the freedom to choose your own looks in Sweden, or do you have someone telling you what you should do?
Basically, I have the freedom to choose. I've had gotten suggestions, put it that way, and I've had one promoter because it actually asking me to change my gear a bit. When I started out, I had like these Muay Thai shorts, which they would prefer to get rid of. So I actually switched those out. But besides from that, I pretty much chose my own gimmick. Yes.
Yeah, cool.
There's actually a comparison to Jessica Love about the tattoos, because Jessica is also really heavily tattooed. She has quite a different style. It's a really colorful and different, like
yeah. But I mean, I love Jessica Love, so they can compare me to her all they want.
Oh yeah. But the thing is that you have this. Can I call it the Japanese style in tattoos? And if you had the Jessica's tattoos, that would be a different kind of Aliss Ink to have, like Pikachu's and smiley faces there. And the other way around, if Jessica has the Japanese styles, it's actually like.
Yeah, and Jessica is not this heavily tattooed. I mean, you're covered through your legs and back and everything, so it's.
Oh yeah.
It's a very different look.
So how many years did it take to get the whole body, or did you do it all in a small period of time, or did you get one there, one here?
Well, when I started getting tattoos, I was 17 when I did my first, and then I did one here, I did one there. They did not have any particular coherency with each other, so that's basically how I went for the first years with tattoos. And I still got tattooed fairly often, but it wasn't the same style, and it wasn't what it is now, basically. And then I would say about 10-ish years ago, I decided I wanted something Japanese style. I wanted something big, and I wanted something to actually bind the tattoos together. So I still have some parts of the old tattoos waved into the pattern of the new ones. And also some, of course, completely original work as well. But I mean, it's kind of a bit of both. You have to look for the differences to see what is what, of course. It's kind of hard when you see the full thing because it's just so much. But I've always kind of felt like, I mean, the person creates the tattoo stories. The tattoos in itself is not the story for the person. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's because all these tattoo shows that was so popular a while back, when people were supposed to have a story to actually could legitimize getting a tattoo.
Yeah.
And I kind of feel it should be the other way around, in a way you create the story with the life you're living. So, but you do tattoos for a reason, and the reason usually has some kind of, you have some core in yourself, why you want this tattoo at this moment. But that doesn't mean the tattoo in itself has to be for this specific thing. This is something you're going to live with for the rest of your life. You're going to create the story as you go along.
That's a
but
great
that's just me.
Yeah, that's a good one.